Hey, welcome back to the Abhi Singh Perspective Gym Podcast, or ASPGP. It's a warm Saturday night in Atlanta, and at this very moment, someone is getting their car broken into. It's probably not my car though. I keep nothing in my car, not even napkins, just in case I happen to run into a carjacker who desperately needs to clean the food off his face. You know who's also getting their cars broken into? The Russians, except their cars weigh several tons and shoot artillery. Of course, I'm talking about the tanks. It is hilarious how the Russian military tanks are getting stolen by like Ukrainian farmers, or that's what it feels like, right? You see all the videos on Reddit or whatever, and it's like the Russian townspeople, the Russian farmers, they're like making the Molotov cocktails, holding down the forts by themselves. It's almost easy to forget that there's a Ukrainian military, to be honest. I think like after this whole war is over, like the Ukrainian people, they were so brave. They defended their country. All of them should get medals. And the military who fought kind of the harder battles are just gonna be like, hey, you know, we were here too. But back to the tanks, I think it's funny that in a weird way, us Atlanteans can sympathize with the Russians because we are also getting our shit broken into. That's one weird thing that we have in common. Do you think the Russian soldiers get into arguments like maybe a couple would in Atlanta after they get their tank stolen? Well, did you lock the tank? Are you sure you locked it? Man, people are the same everywhere. So, what's been going on this week? I saw that the president did that the State of the Union speech, right? That's always fun. People always make a lot of news and chatter about what the people behind the president are always doing. And people always try to analyze it, like, why is she doing this? I don't think it's that big of a deal. Do you know how hard it is to just kind of sit still and be attentive for an hour or an hour 30 or however long those things are? I didn't watch it. I think if you could take a camera and watch yourself just at one of the like at a show or in a classroom, like watching your teacher's presentation, you would be surprised. Wow, I really picked my nose that much? Jesus Christ, my posture is terrible. I'm going to be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 40. And things like that, you know? So, all in that regard, I give my respect to Pelosi and the Harrises. Kamala Harris. That's the one thing I will give them respect for. The politicking, not so much. Then, of course, you have the interrupters, for whom people still act surprised for some reason. I mean, isn't there an interrupter every time? Isn't there a heckler every time? Now that I think about it, I can relate to the president. I've been heckled on a stage, although mine was just a little smaller than the stage that they have at the State of the Union speech. Why don't we just ignore them and move on? Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't even watch the thing. I don't even vote anymore. And I will die by that take. I think for most people, for the average person, voting at the national level does not affect your life at this point. I really don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. So why let it take up headspace? I somehow let my friends convince me to go to the bars last night. The bars. The esteemed, hyped bars. The bars that you've been wanting to go to ever since you knew about the concept in high school or middle school or whatever. You get to college, you get your fake ID maybe, and you're like, let's go to the bars. That's where I'm gonna have fun. That's where I'm gonna get laid, right? That's really what it's about. That's where I'm gonna get laid, meet girls. And then you get there, you know, you walk up to the bartender, you get your first drink. Obviously, it's gonna be a beer because you're not familiar with all the names of the drinks. That you don't want to seem like a rookie. After all, you did get in with a fake ID. Maybe, allegedly. Am I talking about my personal experience? I don't know. You're like, wow, I just got my first drink. Let's go dance. You go to the dance floor, and you realize it's not super fun to dance in a club unless you are totally slashed. In fact, it's not even that fun to be in a club unless you are totally slashed. You see all the movies like where people go partying in Las Vegas. They're all like jumping up and down to a really beat heavy song. And you're like, wow, that looks really fun. But as a kid, you don't know that they're all really drunk. You don't understand that yet. Reality is, it's 80% of the people just kind of standing there, kind of bobbing and weaving to the beat. They're not really talking because it's really hard to hear everyone. And they're all just kind of eyeing each other like, all right, what's going to happen? It's the bar, right? Something's going to happen. And then you just stand there for 2 hours and do nothing. That's my experience. It's not my environment. I give credit to the people who really go and have fun. They go talk to people at the bars. It's not my environment, but I think my experience is most people's experience, even if you want to deny it. Because I think a lot of people at the bars are in denial. They convince themselves they have fun, but to be honest, they might as well have stayed home because they got the exact same amount of things done. You don't do much at a bar except spend like $20 on 2 beers. And then of course, once you get used to that, once you realize, okay, maybe this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, you're like, okay, maybe it's me. I'm the introvert, right? I need to go talk to people. I need to work my way up to being able to just pick up any chick at the bar. That's what it's about, right? It's about getting laid. So like, okay, let's go talk to people. So first you kind of talk to the bartender, like, all right, had a good conversation with the bartender. I finally talked to a girl. Of course, it's her job. She gets paid to talk to me if I buy a drink. Which a lot of guys, including my roommate, will ignore that fact and feel good about themselves. And then maybe you talk to some other people at the bar who aren't girls, and then maybe one time you will talk to a girl and she'll just flat out say no, she doesn't want to dance with you. Not my personal experience though. As specific as it is. Not my. I just think this is what happens to everyone who goes to a bar. Oh, old Abby, always talking out of jealousy. But why would I be jealous? It's not my personal experience. I'm just really unsure of how bars, or those kind of bars, the ones with the doot, 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 where you can't hear yourself, really became a popular place to hang out. You know what you realize after going to bars a couple of times? People don't know what makes them happy. They just kind of ride with the wave until one day they're 40. They're like, did I really spend all that time in bars? What the fuck am I doing with my life? And then they'll die sad. Okay. Getting too depressing, Abby. Way too depressing. All right. How about we change the subject to something else that I wanted to talk about? Let's talk about something positive, something fun I did this week. I went to the live taping of Wait, Don't Tell Me, NPR's #1 news quiz, whatever the slogan is, at Fox Theater. Went with my mom and my brother, which generally I don't like going to these kind of things with them because I'm the only one laughing. Most of the jokes, they go over my mom's head. She's kind of a Karen. More on that later. In later podcasts. And my brother, he's in high school, so he doesn't really care about the kind of things they talk about. The things they talk about being the news. High schoolers don't watch the news. I take that back. High schoolers used to not watch the news. Now there are more high schoolers than ever watching the news. But my brother isn't one of them. One of those very politically active high schoolers. The ones that'll protest and shit, make feel like they're making a difference. Speaking of, I did see there are a lot of protesters in Atlanta protesting about the war, obviously. The war. Holding up the Ukrainian flag, signs like fuck Putin. I did see a smart sign though, or maybe a sign with an actual message. It said something along the lines of ban Russia energy imports, which I think the guy holding that sign, I think he's a step, he's a level above the rest of the protesters, because when you don't have something like that, you're basically just yelling, aren't you? You're kind of just standing there and yelling. I don't think anyone's really watching. But that guy, he has a strategy. Maybe we should listen to more about what that guy has to say. Of course, that's assuming that the U.S. government listens to the people. But you guys know me. I'm a real cynic when it comes to politics. But what was I talking about? High schoolers, right? The Wait Don't Tell Me show. First of all, kudos to Peter and the panel. They are hilarious. I mean, they absolutely murdered for 2 hours. Really, I think Peter is one of the more slept on comedians. At least in my for people my age, because people my age don't listen to Wait. It's on the radio. Young people don't listen to the radio. We have podcasts. We have radio anytime we want it. We don't have to schedule our radio. Fuck is that shit? But what was I talking about? Yeah, Peter is one of the very slept on comedians. Wait is it's a very liberal show. And what I like about Peter is that when one of the comedians on the panel, or one of the guests on the panel, they're not all comedians, gets too liberal, Peter will bring them right back down to earth. I don't think obviously I don't know the guy, but I don't think he likes the direction that the show has taken, because there's a lot more making fun of the right than there is the left. Although there's plenty of making fun of the left, which is weird to say. But they do make fun of the right a lot, but still one of the more balanced shows in terms of that. Most people go one way or the other. This show definitely has a balance of both. There's leaning a little more left than they are right, but it's still hilarious, of course. So we went to the Fox Theater. The first thing you'll notice when you sit down is just the sea of single old women that are in the seats. We got there pretty early, so most people hadn't arrived yet. And I mean, it was like you could play connect the dots with all the single old women that were there. They were just peppered across the theater, and that's what they do. Their husbands will go to work, or maybe have passed away, which is unfortunate, and that's what they do with their time, right? They can't really run anymore. They don't really feel like going out, so they sit at home and they listen to public radio, and that's why they're such huge fans of the show. But it's cool for them that they get to see it live. I want to do a negative shout out to the Fox Theater, not the whole theater. The theater is beautiful, but the concessions, the popcorn is trash. I mean, straight trash. It was cold. It was rubbery, if you want to call it that. How most popcorn is, it's very soft, cracks in your mouth, a little crackle when you bite down on it. This popcorn was not that. It was cold, like I said, and rubbery. That's the word I'm gonna put on it, and not worth the $6 that I paid for it. Although of course I ate all of it. I mean, once you start eating popcorn, you can't stop. I even went so far as to, my popcorn pile is towards the bottom of the bucket, and I tip it into my mouth. Kernels and everything. I have a weird habit of eating the kernels. I like to break them in my mouth and swallow them. Call me weird. I don't really care. The night before, I had one of those weird nights where you just can't go to sleep. You're just thinking and thinking, and you're like, okay, what is it? Do I have to pee? So you go and try to pee, but you can't pee. So you're like, okay, I need to jack off. I need some stress relief, right? So you tame the one-eyed snake, and then you lay in your bed. You're like, all right, this will do it. I'm definitely gonna be able to go to sleep right now. And you just lay there in bed again. And you're like, okay, why don't I listen to a pod? Maybe I can fall asleep listening to the pod. And then you listen to the whole pod. And then at some point, finally, at like 4 or 5 in the morning, you fall asleep. And then this is the weird part. You wake up in the morning and you feel great. You feel like you have energy despite just listening to pods and watching YouTube videos and eating Girl Scout cookies until 4 in the morning the night before. It might be the Girl Scout cookies. They might that one pack of Thin Mints might have had some steroids in it or something. But it was just one of those weird nights before the day of the show. And I actually got a lot done that day. So that pretty much covers it, guys. I feel like I've talked a while. What's 17 minutes and 45 seconds. Of course, that's going to be trimmed down a little. Is that a record for how long the pod is? I might have to check out some of the other videos and find out. But thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Maybe I just shouldn't ask anymore. Just for people, maybe because everyone asks you to subscribe. So maybe I should reverse psychology. Look at me. I'm stumbling over my words. That's how you know it's a good time to end it. You don't want to hear this nonsense, right? But again, thank you for listening. I'll see you guys next time.